Now at 9, how the city of Joplin is preparing for the 7th edition of North Heights Porch Fest. Plus, a senator from Kansas visits 2 different Southeast Kansas high schools. And
the population of homeless students in the Joplin area is on the rise. We're talking to school officials about what plans and strategies are in place to make sure these students don't get left behind. I'm Anthony Saviello with that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tanya Bach. The homeless population of Joplin students is on the rise. KOAM's Anthony Saviello brings us the story.
Homelessness is an unfortunate but common issue within the Joplin area, and it is one that not only affects adults, but students as well.
The numbers have rose since the tornado year by year, but we also have had this position. This is the 3rd year that we've had somebody in this particular position through a homeless grant that we were awarded through the state of Missouri. And so I believe that we're identifying more students as well.
Tara Porter currently fills the role as the McKinney-Vento case manager for the Joplin School District. Tara told me that the Joplin School District currently has 7,600 students enrolled. Of that 7,600, 420 of them qualify under the McKinney-Vento definition of homeless. Of that 420, 116 reside in the high school alone. And of that 116, 20 of them are completely on their own. However, there is hope for these students, and the school district has many efforts to keep them in school and to set them up for success.
We really help with extracurricular activities, clothing, school supplies. We have helped students who are on their own unaccompanied, with apartment stuff, bedding, just an array of things that we can help with. We also pay for transportation sometimes and things such as that.
But what is causing this issue to rise in the area?
Cost of living is so high, and so rent is very high. And we have a lot of families who have had stable housing who are in the situation where they're having to double up and live with somebody else just to get by right now.
Despite the complications, it doesn't stop Tara from putting her best foot forward to help these students. Reporting in Joplin, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Porter also says the district is one of 13 in the state of Missouri to receive a grant that helps homeless students. A U.S. Senator made an appearance today at some Southeast Kansas schools. One of the stops for Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas was at Labette County Community College. The senator says he made the trips to see how our local schools are doing.
This is an opportunity to reconnect with Labette Community College. Also visited a couple of high schools while I've been in Southeast Kansas today, and in particular paying attention to their technical and vocational education and their relationship with Labette Community College in particular.
Senator Moran also visited Labette High School in Altamont and Southeast High School in Cherokee. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at weather.
It's not hot anymore. Temperatures outside have been cooling down a little bit. Still 79 today, but mild. Average high is 75 degrees, record of 91. We are cooling down. 65 in Stockton, Neosho, 68 in Miami, 68 in Pittsburgh. Most of us are going to drop near 50 later on tonight, so it's going to be pretty nice. Have a couple little clouds shooting through, but in general, clear skies. Our rain from the past couple days rolling away. But here's our next storm system spinning across the northern parts of the plains. It's not really going to give us rain. It's going to bring in a pretty strong cold front, and you're going to feel the changes by the time we head into the weekend. For tonight, backing down to about 51 by 7 a.m., 62 at 10 a.m. Of course, we're going to look at that frosty weather coming up here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. It's officially fall, which means pumpkins galore. Pryor Creek Farms in Cherryville, Kansas is celebrating with its annual pumpkin patch. It includes scenic hay rides, a corn pit, barrel train, and of course, pumpkin picking. The Pumpkin Patch gift shop features products from local artists and artisans. The Pumpkin Patch is open every weekend as well as Tuesday evenings throughout the month of October. And this weekend, you can get up close with the Touch a Tractor event. Well, Joplin is getting ready for the 7th edition of Northern Heights Porch Fest. On Saturday, almost 50 bands will be playing in more than 30 front porches around the historic neighborhood. KOAM's Fernanda Silva shows us how North Heights is getting ready for the event.
In the last 7 years, the beginning of fall has felt like spring for some of the North Heights residents.
People are out and about putting flowers out, cleaning up their yards, making things nicer. So a lot of people just do, a little spring cleaning, but in the fall.
The reason for that, North Heights Porch Fest. For organizers and volunteers, the event is a chance to showcase and to invite people to explore the historic neighborhood.
If you look at real estate listings around in the area, a lot of people specifically mention Porch Fest as something that's amazing about this neighborhood. It has really drawn people in. We've had people move here just because of Porch Fest. It's amazing.
According to organizers, if you want to check every single stage in the event, that's possible because everything is in a walkable distance of about 5 blocks. Here on this street, for example, all the 3 houses behind me will host bands.
I just wanted to bring attention to the neighborhood and bring some pride into the neighborhood. And the neighbors get out and walk around and you meet your neighbors.
On his 5th year turning his porch into a stage, Steve Brunson will have Caleb Miller and the Vagabond Grove as one of the attractions.
Here I've got some friends coming from out of town, and so we're going to walk around. I'll make sure they got everything they need, and then I'm going to walk around and enjoy the bands, but I'll listen to my own.
For Miller, the Porch Fest is one of the coolest events in town, and an opportunity to put his band in the spotlight.
Exposure is huge because not every song and not every band is for everyone. So you've got to find your people, and if you can get in front of 200-300 people in a day, you're probably going to find a few.
We have so many talented people here. It's truly incredible and heartening to see how many wonderful artists and musicians that Southwest Missouri can provide.
With just a few days before his house becomes a concert venue, Brunson is looking forward to seeing people enjoying the area.
People gather out here in the streets and you get to see the little kids dancing, and it's just a good time.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Well, country, blues, rock, pop, and classical are just some of the genres neighbors and visitors will be able to enjoy. More than 10 food trucks and 20 artists will also join the event. You can find the details on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, it's Arts and Humanities Month in Joplin, and to celebrate, the mayor today made a proclamation recognizing local artists, musicians, and area organizations in the Joplin arts community. Today is also the last art walk of the year, which many of those artists take part in. Officials say it's important to recognize the life and culture artists bring to the community.
We have so many artists, so many creatives, poetry, writers, we got it all. And we just felt like they needed to be recognized as well. We have got a lot of arts organizations, nonprofits and for-profits, and that we needed to be part of that action and talk about it and remind everybody how important it is to have that in their lives. I don't think they'll debate that.
This is the 16th year of the Joplin Art Walk. Well, coming up, going back to an old plan.
The White House taking a page out of Trump's playbook and resuming building the border wall. I'm Rebecca Castor in Washington. Why they're reversing course, coming up.
Mercy Hospital in Columbus, Kansas today blessed its new outpatient physical therapy building. Blessing new facilities and equipment is a tradition of Mercy. The new building is 2,400 square feet, more than 4 times the size of the hospital's previous outpatient physical therapy space.
We have been talking about expanding and building our PT facility for several years, even before COVID. COVID hit, it put it on delay, and every plan that we had, we changed it a little bit, don't know if that's enough space, and never dreamed that we would be doing this.
The new building is across from the hospital at 111 Sycamore Street. It is National Depression Screening Day, and new research is shining a light on the importance of diagnosing this mental health condition and how effective screening can help identify people considering suicide. Mandy Gaither has a look at the study and how it could change how doctors look at suicide prevention.
It's one of the leading causes of death in the U.S. More people died from suicide last year than any other year on record, according to provisional data.
One of the key aspects of preventing suicide is being able to identify individuals who are most vulnerable to attempting suicide.
That's why Craig Bryan and his colleagues at the Ohio State College of Medicine and Wesleyan University started studying patient screening methods at primary care clinics. The researchers believe traditional screening for suicidal thoughts would be most effective at identifying which patients were most likely to attempt suicide. But that wasn't what they found.
The key finding was that the most effective way to identify patients who would eventually attempt suicide was to screen them for depression.
The researchers found that screening for depression correctly identified more patients who would go on to attempt suicide than traditional suicide screening.
Primary care healthcare providers should really be focusing on identifying patients who have depression, and then that might serve as a gateway for determining who might need additional treatment and intervention to prevent suicide.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, Pitt State holds its weekly press conference ahead of a big MIAA matchup against Emporia State.
Well, definitely it turned out to be a nice one for us today. We did have a little bit of rain last night into the morning hours. Clouds broke. We saw sunshine, temperatures right about where we should be for this time of the year, mid to upper 70s. And we are cooling off outside right now. Also pretty much clear. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, rainfall amounts since midnight, only about 1/10 of an inch. For the month, 1.3 inches, but still a deficit of 10 inches. We are not going to close that gap very much, but at least we're putting a huge dent into the drought. No drought at all south of I-44. Joplin, Pittsburgh look good. Still an extreme drought, Nevada, over toward Yates Center, Independence, but at least it's getting better, a lot better than what we've seen this entire year. 65 in Stockton, Neosho 65, 68 in Miami. Chanute is sitting at 67. Let's go outside. 7th, Rangeline sitting at 67. Visibility is good. Winds are calm. Those will start to pick up a little bit tomorrow due to, here comes a strong cold front. This is going to really make it feel like fall as we head into the weekend. It's not like Arctic air or anything. It's just quite a bit cooler air, which is going to push in. A couple little clouds kind of skirting through. Besides that, we look pretty good. Our rain we had earlier is gone. Here's our next storm system. Look at the winds out of Canada. So that brings in that cooler air mass as we go through the next couple days as this system spins right into the Central Plains. The winds pick up behind it, and then it sits just to our east all weekend. So we're on the back side, giving us very nice fall-like conditions as we go through the next several days. All right, let me walk you through the next 48 hours. By morning, upper 40s to near 50, pretty much clear. Clouds increase through the morning. This cold front starts to work through early afternoon. So we shoot upper 60s, and then we drop into the 50s during the evening hours. As it passes by, we may get a quick shower or a couple sprinkles. Then tomorrow night, we start to plummet. 35, 36, 37 degrees, so we may get some patchy frost by the time we head into Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon looks great. High temps into lower 60s for highs. Day planner tomorrow, 50 to start, 65 by noon, drop to 59 by 4 p.m., but I think our high right around 68. And the winds are going to pick up as well. We're going to have northerly winds gusting 20 upwards to 30 miles per hour at times, and then they'll die down by tomorrow night. All right, 68 tomorrow, 39 tomorrow night, only 62 on Saturday. Back to 71 on Sunday, so a fantastic weekend. Rain chances returning Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week.
Digging these temperatures though, like it's finally fall.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. We needed it.
It is. It's going to feel good.
It's going to be chilly.
A little bit.
Yes. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, it only lasted a couple of minutes, but locals in Lewis, Kansas say Tuesday night's storm brought large hail, causing severe damage to property. Austin Morton spoke with people on how they are recovering today.
The south-facing side of many buildings here in Lewis look just like this, peppered with holes and broken windows after last night's hail damage.
It just came super fast. You just heard the blows.
When Carol Cianez heard those blows, she acted quickly.
I was in my bedroom and I just heard this loud bang in the roof. We had our dogs outside. We ran to get our dogs and try to get them in.
While others in town handled the situation differently.
Felt like it lasted forever, but I think it was just a few minutes.
Like Daniela Foles, who was in her car when it started hailing.
Just hit the windshield and went straight to the back windshield, and I just covered with blankets on top of me, and it was scary.
After the storm passed, many came out to assess the damage.
As you can see, it's the windows, the stucco, the roof, of course, the vehicles.
And are now making repairs where they can.
Now I'm doing what I got to do here. Using what I have. That's all I can do right now. I'm sure there's no plywood anywhere to be had at this point.
As for the cost of damages,
I have no clue. I have no clue.
Now they're just waiting for insurance adjusters.
Oh, God, help me.
Well, coming up, the race is on.
The race for the House Speaker's gavel is taking shape. At least 2 prominent GOP members are running, but others are hoping for another big name to win the role. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with who that person is.
Well, Kaiser Permanente workers were back on the picket line today. This comes as talks between the healthcare provider and union organizers appear to be at a standstill. The walkout will end Saturday. But if there is no deal, Kaiser workers could go off the job again next month. At least one automaker is taking out more credit as the United Auto Workers Union continues to strike. Both sides, though, are making progress in their negotiations. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has more from Centerline, Michigan.
3 weeks into the strikes, and the United Auto Workers Union is still trying to hammer out a deal with the automakers. A source telling Fox Business the UAW is making progress with all 3 companies.
All we want is our fair share. They can get $33 billion from Stellantis. They got it. General Motors has it. Ford has it.
The strike's already costing the U.S. economy $4 billion. General Motors estimates the walkouts cost the company about $200 million in lost production during the third quarter. The automaker announced Wednesday it secured a line of credit for up to $6 billion. Experts say it could be some time before the walkouts impact consumers' wallets.
The first plants the UAW targeted were primarily mid-sized pickup plants, Ford Ranger and Chevy Colorado and others. Those already had extraordinarily tight supply for that segment.
Meanwhile, Ford is laying off another 400 workers this week. On Tuesday, the company said it made a new offer to the UAW that included a more than 20% pay raise. Still, both sides remain at odds over the transition to electric vehicles, which the union says could put thousands out of work.
The Detroit 3, it might make sense for them to just exit the EV battle. They're forced to destroy their own jobs, which would obviously help in these negotiations.
UAW President Shawn Fain plans to update union members about the talks on Friday. In Centerline, Michigan, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
Well, up next, if you and your friends are planning in a Dungeons and Dragons game soon, we have the perfect whiskey for your adventure. If you're a Dungeons and Dragons fan and a whiskey drinker, there's a special new treat for you. It's called Quest Inn Paladin. It's the first Dungeons and Dragons inspired whiskey to be released by the company Find Familiar Spirits. Pre-sales started on Wednesday and public online sales start Friday. The 100 proof whiskey cost $149 and will ship in November. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. When House lawmakers plan to vote on who will take over the now vacant speakership, plus how President Biden is bringing back a border security policy from his predecessor. 2 House Republicans are working to shore up support in their bid to replace House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Some GOP members, however, are backing another prominent figure. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
Could the next House Speaker be Donald Trump? Reports are swirling that the former president will come to Washington Tuesday to talk to House Republicans. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's leading the charge to draft Trump for the speakership.
I think President Trump is exactly the right outsider for this.
Whether he could even serve is an open question. Trump faces more than 90 charges across 4 criminal cases. He's also been noncommittal to join a race that could be contentious.
The margins are just too thin to assume that you have something in the bag.
The White House is refusing to weigh in on the possibility of Trump as Speaker.
This is something for House Republicans to figure out.
Still, they will have to work closely with whoever wins the gavel to push some of their key initiatives, like continued funding for Ukraine. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, a conservative firebrand who's running for Kevin McCarthy's old job, is already promising to be tough on the president. Other GOP members are supporting the number 2 Republican in the House, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, believing he's the only one who can unite their deeply fractured conference.
Something that could happen, they could go into conference next week and it could be a total, knife fight.
House Republicans and House Democrats are huddling in closed-door meetings on Tuesday to select their Speaker candidates, with the first of who knows how many votes expected on Wednesday. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
LA, California Senator Dianne Feinstein was remembered today in a memorial service. It was held at the San Francisco City Hall, the city she led for a decade as its first female mayor. Vice President Kamala Harris, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi attended the private ceremony. Feinstein died last week at the age of 90. Attorneys for former President Donald Trump are asking once again for a federal judge to delay the trial regarding his handling of classified documents. Trump is accused of criminally mishandling sensitive national security secrets at his Florida residence after he left office. In a court filing Wednesday, Trump's attorneys cited issues over access to material in the case. This is at least the second request by the Trump team to move the trial date. And the White House is resuming the building of a border wall. The administration says they're simply following the law, not taking a page out of former President Trump's playbook. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
In a policy flip-flop, the Biden administration says it will continue building the border wall in South Texas, waiving dozens of federal environmental laws to get construction going. The move comes as border cities are seeing record numbers of illegal crossings, and sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago are overrun. But it's a 180 from what President Biden promised on the campaign trail.
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
But in a federal notice, Biden's Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says there is a, quote, acute and immediate need for physical barriers at the border. The president still questions its effectiveness.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No.
Biden blames Congress for construction resuming, saying lawmakers would not agree to spend the already appropriated money on something else.
Why not Congress appropriates the funding. We asked them to not use that funding for that particular purpose. They denied it, and now we're complying with the law.
Meanwhile, Republicans see this reverse course as a win for the conservative agenda and Trump policies.
They need to first admit that Trump was right, they were wrong, that the border wall is effective.
The Clean Air Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, and Endangered Species Act are some of the federal laws waived by the Biden administration to start construction quickly. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A bit later, pandemic-era funding, federal funding for daycares comes to an end. We're going to take a look at how this could affect working parents.
Well, it's turned out to be a nice afternoon and a very nice evening. Temperatures are very pleasant across the region. They are going to cool down as we go through the next few days. So we're sitting at 65 in Iola. Independence checking in. 68. Let's go down to Grand Lake sitting at 63. Anderson 63. Carthage at 65. Stockton is sitting at 62. So overall, it's very comfortable outside. 7th and Rangeline 67. Visibility is good. Humidity a little high at about 76%, and pretty much calm winds across the region. But here's our cold front. This is a pretty strong front, especially for this time of the year, and it is going to zoom south toward us as we go through about the next 24 hours and really start to cool us down. Outside right now, we look fine, a couple little clouds scooting through, but besides that, the entire Central Plains look pretty good. The rain we had earlier today is now moving off toward the east, and you can see our upper level winds out of Canada. So as this system rolls in, it's going to bring in that cooler air that is now sitting up into Canada. The winds are going to pick up behind it, that cooler Canadian air. It's not really going to give us any rain or much of any rain. It's mainly just going to give us some cooler temperatures, but this sits on top of us all weekend, and then we'll start to warm up a little bit as we go into next week. Overall, it is shaping up pretty good over the next few days. Let's go through time. Tonight, we drop back near 50 for overnight lows. Clouds increase tomorrow as this front starts to work through early afternoon. So we're going to warm into the upper 60s and then cool back into the 50s by the time the evening hours kind of really work in. As we go through the overnight hours tomorrow night, check this out. We drop 35, Iola 35, Parsons 37, Lamar 37, and Neosho. So we're going to have to watch for patchy frost by the time we head into Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, kind of chilly, but very nice. High temps into the lower 60s. Day planner for you on your Friday, 50 in the morning, 65 by noon. Should hit 68, then drop to 59 by the time 4 p.m. rolls around. And the winds with the front are really going to increase. We're going to have northerly winds 10 to 20 and then gusts upwards of 30 by the time we head into the afternoon. Then they'll calm down a little bit as we go into tomorrow evening. All right, so Friday night, four-state high school football. It's kind of like it's hoodie weather. Kickoff 53, 46 by the time the games get into the fourth quarter. As we cool down toward the weekend, 68 tomorrow, 39 tomorrow night, 62 on Saturday, back to 71 on Sunday, so the weekend great. We do warm to near 80 on Wednesday and then cool back into the 60s late next week with our next storm system.
Exciting to say we have long sleeve weather for Friday night football.
I know.
I like it.
It's going to feel like football weather.
Yes, about time.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, 2023 is on track to be the hottest year in history. Last month was the hottest September following 4 months of record-breaking heat. Ocean temperatures were also breaking records for September, hitting the second highest on record for any month. Coming up in sports, Pitt State football prepares for its top 20 matchup with Emporia State on Saturday. Plus, Miami softball host Weatherford with a trip to the state tournament on the line. John Dales has highlights from those games and more up next.
Third-ranked Pitt State football hosts number 20 Emporia State on Saturday. And one of the biggest reasons why the Gorillas are undefeated is the play of the defensive backfield, who has 10 interceptions through 5 games. Now, Mike Lacey gives a ton of credit to safeties coach Jordan Hendy.
Our coach came in, Coach Hendy. He's obviously played the position. He knows the defense and knows the system. It's been a really good help for us. He's given us the opportunity to go out there, learn new technique, learn new ways to defend and man technique and zone, and just be able to read plays a little easier and just continue to trust our keys, and that's having a really good job for us to just go out there and play fun, play free, and just enjoy the moments we give each other.
That secondary will have one of its toughest challenges yet on Saturday against Emporia State. The Hornets have only thrown 1 interception through 5 games. The Gorillas are the only unbeaten team remaining in the MIAA. A win keeps PSU in sole possession of first place in the conference. Miami High School softball won its district and regional championships, setting up the Lady War Dogs with a chance to head to state. In order to get there, they need to win a best-of-3 super regional against Weatherford. Now that's Super Regional best of 3. Miami hosting Weatherford at Turner Field. Game 1, Miami is actually the away team, so top of the first, Mizzou commit Sydney Forrester hits this one through the shortstop's glove. It rolls to the fence, and Hayden Pilkington comes around to score. Lady War Dogs with a great start, up 1-0. Bottom of the third, Weatherford responds. Deep drive to left and gone. Solo home run from Harley Chisholm that ties the game up at 1 apiece. Into the 5th, bases loaded. Caitlin Bryant grounds out, but another run comes home for the Eagles. Weatherford takes a 2-1 lead. Now next batter, Danae Green gets a big strikeout looking, keeps it at just 2-1. Now to the 7th, same score, last chance for Miami. Harley Teasley gets the swing and a miss. That's the ball game. Weatherford takes game 1, low scoring battle, 2-1. Now to game 2, Miami facing elimination, needs a win to play on for a chance to stay alive tomorrow. Top of the first inning, Caitlin Bryant drives a run in up the middle. Weatherford gonna take a 1-0 lead. Later in the inning, Lady Eagles not done. Josh Schultz hits a single into the outfield. Eagles push across another run. It's 2-0. However, Miami settles down after that. Faith Lemons in the circle. She got hitters looking all night. Couple of strikeouts in the 3rd, another in the 5th. Then, nice defensive play here. Handles the comebacker to end the inning in the 5th. Miami down 4-1, entering the 7th. Marley Teasley, just too much in this one. She gets the first out with the strikeout. Later in the inning, Miami down to its last strike, and she shuts the door. The big strikeout to send Weatherford on to state. Miami gets swept by Weatherford. They lose game 2, 4-1.
Weatherford's a tough team. We knew they were going to be a tough team. They got a couple really good players, and honestly, their pitcher came out and decided she was going to win. She did. I'm proud to be their coach every day. It's an absolute honor. These girls come out and they sell out. They give everything they have every day, and you know, it's one of those things that's, the game doesn't hand you anything because you work hard or do the right things. You know, it's a matter of how it's going to be with that particular day.
Over to Kansas high school football. Riverton and Cherryville kick off week 6. The Rams win big, 52-0. They led 46-0 at halftime. Riverton only won 1 game a year ago. Big turnaround this season. They hold a 3-3 record. Next up for them, they play Neodesha on Friday. Back to Miami softball, though. Tough to see a season end like that. Weatherford, really tough opponent, but Miami, a lot to be proud of about this year.
I mean, you have to think of how far they got. I mean, you have to be a good team to get where they did.
Do.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thanks for covering them, John. Back with more news after this.
Be a permanent part of the foundation at Vida Nova Village, Joplin.
Are you burned out with the same old?
Thousands of child care centers are facing an uncertain future after pandemic-era federal funding that helped many stay open ended. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more on how this could affect working parents.
Millions of kids across the nation are at risk of losing access to daycare centers. This after federal government aid that helped fund more than 200,000 providers expired. The funding was part of a pandemic-era program that helped child care providers keep their doors open. But now some providers could struggle to stay afloat. Those in rural communities could be hit the hardest.
There are so many people that they don't have a grandma or an aunt or a cousin or anybody that can, you know, be a consistent person to watch their child every day.
Many of these centers go beyond just providing education and a safe space for kids while their parents are working.
The ladies here, they do a great job.
Businesses like Living Water Child Care Center in West Virginia can serve up to 3 meals a day to children, all while giving out donated school supplies and clothing.
I feel it's important for them to have a safe space so they know that they are loved.
Without the federal aid, child care centers worry if they'll have enough funds to support those relying on them. Data from think tank the Century Foundation shows up to 50% of providers in 6 states are at risk of closing down without the additional help, forcing some parents to stay home to watch their young kids instead.
When I say they would have no other option than not to work, they would have no other option.
The federal aid also helped lower care costs for parents, with many now worrying how they'll be able to pay for it. Families and providers are now urging Congress to create permanent funding for child care centers. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll check out the giant Halloween decoration that's taking social media by storm with its catchphrase. It could be this Halloween's hottest new lawn decoration, the tall pumpkin creature on sale at Target that insists it is not a jack-o'-lantern. Fans are obsessed with the creature's catchphrase, so much so that the product has become hard to come by. Jeannie Moose reports on why fans are so obsessed.
The supply has become dry as a bone, not for the 12-foot skeleton. It's the 8-foot pumpkin that is the new must-have decoration this Halloween.
I am not a jack-o'-lantern. My name is Louis.
Louis, the talking pumpkin.
My name is Louis.
Is pretty much sold out at Target stores, even though he's not cheap. $180.
I am not a king. I am not a god. I am Louis.
All Louis does is say a few canned lines.
Hello, hello, hello.
But there's something about his catchphrase.
I am not a jack-o'-lantern. My name is Louis.
It seems to have mesmerized the masses.
My name is Louis.
Ever since Louis went viral, as one commenter wrote, I can't stop saying my name is Louis because of that Target pumpkin.
Going to Target to see if they have Louis.
There he is, peeking out above the shelves. Fans make pilgrimages to the store to shoot TikTok videos of themselves with Louis. Though the skeleton dwarfs him, Louis gets 5-star reviews, even from owners who admit he's kind of flimsy. But whatever you do, don't call Louis Jack.
I am not a jack-o'-lantern.
This pumpkin seems to be filling our heads.
My name is Louis.
Louis.
Louis has heads spinning faster than the girl in The Exorcist.
My name is not Louis. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of animals at a Belgian zoo feasting on pumpkins, but not Louis. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.